I feel like we needed an intro. Like,
I was about to say, yeah, this is normally the part we would have an intro.
And this is it. This is our intro.
There we go. All right. Episode 1 of Serial Sisters. We didn't...
Oh.
We didn't plan how we were going to say that.
Not at all.
My name's Devin.
My name's Audie.
Dennis. We're both... Well, I guess I got
You're
married.
not.
But Audie and Devin Dennis, for the sake of the podcast being called Serial Sisters, we really like true crime, and Audie and I do this thing since we don't live together anymore. Why are you dancing? Are you just excited? Oh, it's okay. I'll be excited too. Oh, yeah, that's fine. I feel like we have to give a shout out too. So, Audie and I are obsessed with true crime. Obsessed.
They're amazing.
Yeah, we love Jillian. We love Patrick.
They're our spirit animals, honestly.
And Audie and I FaceTime every morning and do our makeup together. We call it Makeup and Murder. And we talk about their podcast and watch the episodes and things like that. So we thought we should have a place to put all of our discussions about these terrible things that happen. So we made Serial Sisters. So thanks, guys, for supporting episode 1. So what we're going to cover today, we didn't want to do anything too big, obviously this being our first one, and we don't know what we're doing yet other than the fact that we just like a lot of podcasts. We thought we would cover...
The Zodiac Killer Copycat.
Yeah, Copycat Zodiac. That kind of rolls off.
Copycat Zodiac, I like that. I was watching Forensic Files, which is where we'll be taking the episode audio from, and... it was just one of those cases that caught my eye and definitely had a lot of cool stuff in it, and definitely one I've never heard of. I would like to start, we will only say this once because it's the first episode and I don't want to ever have to say it again. But, disclaimer, this is a comedy true crime podcast. We are in no way making fun of the victims or the situations.
Never, yes.
We are always in the best mindset for the families and any of the loved ones for the situations that have happened. This is simply a funny podcast that is also bringing light to these stories.
Yeah, exactly. Like Audie said, I think that a really good point of these podcasts is to keep the stories alive for the victims and to tell their names and tell their stories and, you know, try to get more information so that these cases don't just end up forgotten. Audie and I definitely want to come at every episode with respect, like she said, to the families and to the victims, but we have to have some type of joke and attitude going into it, or we would be depressed all the time, and I think we're that enough with everything going on in the world.
For sure.
So
we're both Gen Zers, so we're almost there all the time.
So we just wanted to have that disclaimer. We're in no way trying to be disrespectful to anybody, except for the serial killers themselves.
Yeah, no, fuck them.
Yeah, fuck them. All right, so
let's start this.
Who is the Zodiac Copycat? Well, I can tell you because I, as Jillian and Patrick would say, I gave it a goog.
You gave it a goog?
I gave it a goog. And here's your little synopsis. Eddie Seda, born July 31st of 1967, often referred to as the New York Zodiac, is an American serial killer who struck New York City from 1990 to 1993. Before being caught on June 18th of 1996, Seda killed 3 people and wounded 5 others, 4 critically. Seda is believed to have admired San Francisco's Zodiac killer for avoiding capture. Police describe Seda obsessed with astrology and death. Seda was formally charged in the case on June 21st, 1996. He was convicted in 1998 and sentenced to 232 years imprisonment. Spoiler alert, this guy does go to jail. We didn't catch the original one, but this guy was a lot dumber.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into it.
Oh yeah, this is like a whole mess of a case.
So there wasn't a lot of coverage on this case, so we ended up kind of going between 2 coverages, if you will. We did the first one, which was what will follow.
It's Forensic Files.
It was in like the 9th chapter.
So that was filmed in 2002 or 2003, really early 2000s. And then we're going to be kind of finishing up with Oxygen's version of the case, which they just did an 11-minute YouTube video that you can look up if you just type in Oxygen Zodiac Copycat. And they ended up doing a case on this about a year or 2 ago, so it has much more recent information and a lot more about what's happened after the case. For 6 years, a killer who claimed to be the Zodiac killed 12 people, 1 for each astrology sign. I mean, he was essentially an entire copycat of the Zodiac. He was obsessed with him, and all he wanted to do was to convince everybody that he was the Zodiac, even though this was in 1990, and the original Zodiac hit in 1960s. So it had been over 40 years. There's no way that he could have even possibly... I mean, he could have been alive, but, like, you would have been at least 70 or 60.
Right. And
which,
I think that's the kind of telltale of it all, was he was trying so hard to make people believe that he was the original Zodiac. Mm-hmm. And just really wasn't thinking through the timeline, or we'll get into Seda himself. But so we start with his first victim. Something
to keep in mind, during the time that this was happening in 1990, New York had the highest amount of murder and crime rates of all time in the States, like literally everywhere. Worst crime ever was 1990s New York. So 49-year-old Mario Orozco was shot in the back walking home from his restaurant job. Mario survived, but also couldn't describe his attacker.
And then we move to his second victim, which was, from my understanding, pretty close in timeline, correct?
It was only 3 weeks.
Okay, yeah. There were like 3 weeks between, because he's waiting for these certain signs that we'll get into to be in the sky.
He's waiting for the constellations.
Yes. So his second victim is 34-year-old Jermaine Montegrio. I'm really hoping I'm saying that right. He was shot in the back, again, with a 9mm bullet walking home after drinking. He did survive, but he also didn't see who the shooter was. Cops believed that the bullet had been shot from a handmade gun.
And we learn later that he shot all the victims in the back, and he didn't face anyone, essentially. Right. He didn't look at the face of anyone while he was doing it.
Yeah, he was always trying to go for someone vulnerable in a vulnerable situation and position, and then flees the scene of the crime. You want to go on to our third victim?
So 2 months later in Queens, 78-year-old Joe Provone was opening the door.
I have Joe Price.
Oh, I took notes of the captions.
I'm going to believe you.
Yeah, I did the spelling correctly. Thank you very much.
Go for it.
It's Prove.
Oh.
So you can blame closed captions for that one if it's wrong.
Okay.
He was opening the door to his apartment when he was shot with a 9mm zip gun. He is the first victim to have passed, sadly, in the ambulance either in the ambulance or the hospital.
Yeah, he got help and didn't.
Yeah. But this was the first time that a note was left on the staircase next to his front door.
Yeah, and that note was there basically saying that he would kill 12 people, one for each sign on the Zodiac table.
Yeah, so one for each constellation of the Zodiac, so 12 in total, one for each astrological sign.
I'm really going to be bad at these terms. I'm not like a sign person. I don't check my horoscope in the morning.
No.
I think I just would rather not know.
Don't tell me I'm going to have bad fortune. Let me figure that out on my own.
All right. So because of this note, cops start looking into the case, and they start seeing how different these notes were.
Can I just have a note that says the note that he left looks like a high school math problem. If you look at it looks like a high schooler's math notes, okay? It's like a circle with 2 lines through it. It looks like he's doing
They do show us, like, a lot of these notes that he left behind, and it's kind of chilling.
When I think one of the weirdest things with codes is that, and they even said in this that they ended up bringing in a code breaker from World War II to break the codes in his letters, it's that it's very easy once you figure it out. You're like, oh god, this is like so-and-so. But while you're trying to figure it out, I mean, you can make yourself crazy trying to fill in places.
The blanks, right.
Like, what if this means this? You could go absolutely insane.
So cops start looking into this case, and they start seeing how different these notes were, that they weren't just normal ransom notes. They weren't just scribbles. They were graphs. They were detailed. And he knew the birthdays of each victim. That's when they realize he sent a letter to the cops 3 months ago and wasn't taken seriously. That blew my mind.
Well, first off, before that, I have a few things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just interrupt.
First of all, he believed in the letters that he had killed all 3 of his victims so far. So keep that in mind. He has only killed 1 person. He has shot 3. So 2 people lived. He believes that they're all dead. He refers to all of them being deceased. And because he has them all. So so far there's Scorpio, Gemini, and Taurus have been shot. Taurus is the man that passed away. So he is actually gone. But the others are still alive. He didn't kill them.
And he just doesn't know. I didn't catch that at all. That's crazy.
And then I do also just want to mention that in both of these episodes, both from Forensic Files and Oxygen, they have the same lead detective that was on the case. And obviously they're filmed almost a decade apart, and I just have, he aged well.
He did, and I love him. We'll get to him. I'm big fan.
Man that would buy you a coffee for you at Starbucks.
How many old men do you have offering to buy your coffee at Starbucks?
You know, you'd be surprised. People are creepy.
Am I just going to the wrong Starbucks? Like,
I don't know, maybe.
Is there like a happy hour I should know about?
I think, honestly, I'm not a Starbucks person. I am a Dunkin' person. We've just, like, you know
Right,
this.
I know this.
And I think it's just that older people go to Dunkin' because they have better taste.
I also have this letter when they realized was sent to the cops, and it was sent to the cops 3 months ago, and that no one took it seriously. And I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, what? You got a ransom letter full of graphs and astrology signs, and you weren't like, that's a little weird.
Well, and especially, the thing that really caught me about that is that I maybe would have understood it if the Zodiac hadn't happened already.
Right.
But this is the second time. So you're not thinking you're going to see this symbol.
Again.
That is and you're not going to be like, maybe I should look into that. Like, oh no, it's a prank.
You'd be running through the streets screaming, he's back!
He's back! We have to decode! Like,
hide your kids!
Hide your wives! Do you know he went to prison?
What? Okay, that's another true crime.
True.
Oh my god. All right, we gotta get back on track. So,
an astrologist did come in and actually say that the nights that the shootings did happen, those constellations weren't visible. I would also like to note that detective says that he wouldn't strike with them in the sky. This case is a real hot potato, and you are my spirit animal. This case is a real hot potato. I love you. That is amazing.
A hot potato.
She's fresh out the oven, steamy and ready.
This thing was all over the newspaper now. I mean, this guy's claiming Zodiac. So now this thing is really a hot potato.
Because 25 years earlier, the man in San Francisco murdered 6 people and wrote the same sort of taunting letters to the police and called himself the Zodiac, but he was never apprehended.
Mm-hmm. He's never been caught to this day, and if you don't know who the Zodiac is, then I don't. What true crime are you on? I also have in my notes from detective, it's a complete law enforcement nightmare. And in the subtitles...
Is that a direct quote?
Yes, direct quote from detective. I also have, in subtitles, ambient noises.
Ambient noises. Guys, we watch with closed captions. Honestly, if you don't watch with closed captions, I don't know what you're doing with your life.
Honestly, if you are ever having a bad day, go watch a horror movie with closed captions. Because one, you'll never get jump scared because it's going to come up on the screen, loud screaming before the jump scare
Which I appreciate.
comes on. We meet a reporter named Karen Crowley. And apparently it was a problem during this time that if a guy went up to you in a bar asking what's your sign, that he was trying to hit on you, that people would freak out and think you were the Zodiac. And there was an actual case of a girl calling the police. She screamed for someone to call the police because he came up and asked what her sign is.
Before the Zodiac killer in New York, when the guy said to a girl, "What's your sign?" he was hitting on her. Afterwards, there was literally a case where a guy asked a girl a sign and she screamed for the police.
But look, I get it, girl.
I get it.
Yes, safe than sorry.
But can you
call
imagine
the cops.
him just
I
being
get
like,
it.
what? And then realizing that was
right. This poor hippie guy. I'm not assuming that if you're into signs, you're hippie.
Your astrology sign.
Right, but also the fact that that's the first line that you come up to me at a bar with lets me know a lot about you. So.
True.
Handwriting was eventually looked into, the ransom notes between the New York Zodiac and our Not a ransom note. You're right. Just the
letter.
The letters, I guess. Yeah. So handwriting was eventually looked into between the 2 letters of the San Francisco Zodiac cases and the New York Zodiac cases. Eventually, they said that the handwriting did not match. They're trying to predict where the Zodiac would hit next. So they bring in astronomer Gregory Matloff. And he explains that these signs are linked to idols and religion. So they start upping the police force on the nights that, to be cliche, that the stars aligned. Mm-hmm. Haha. See what I did there? See what I did there?
I see what you did.
But guys, it doesn't work because he went to Manhattan and shot this poor homeless man, again, vulnerable man in a vulnerable position. He shot this homeless man by the name of Larry Parham. I'm really hoping that I say that right. In his sleep, and left a note in his shoe. And in my notes, I just have what the actual fuck.
He was sleeping on a bench in Central Park, which is super, super sad.
So sad. I'm sad for everyone, but that just broke my heart.
In the note, it said that Larry was a cancer, so that was the next victim.
And how does he know that? That's the other thing, is just thinking that he's been stalking all of these victims for so long.
We'll get into that later, but that's the thing, is that that's the one thing they never really figured out, was how he knew. If it was luck, and like, we'll get into all.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So the constellations that he was looking for to not be in the sky, should I say, was Orion and the Seven Sisters of Pleiades, and they were not visible on any of the nights that he committed these crimes.
Right, because the Zodiac claimed that only the constellations Orion and the Seven Sisters could stop him. And I'm just like, how do you get there? Like, I would really like to know, or no, I don't want to know how you get there, but just to that level of delusion.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the note that was in the homeless man's shoe, cops take that in for evidence, obviously. But I found this so interesting. Can I talk about it?
Who's stopping you?
Well, it would only be you. So, and I'm the big sister. So
wow, that's gonna make a difference.
We're listening to me. Okay, so I found this so interesting, and I'm kind of like, I'm just a nerd about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no,
yes. Okay. Cool. So they coat the letter from the victim's shoe in nihydrin to get the acids from the Zodiac's skin oils. Then they put it in this fridge to speed up the process. And after a few hours, or probably several hours, I'm guessing, it was a short video. They didn't show us how long. They have an almost perfect thumbprint, and I'm screaming.
It's really cool.
At this point.
One of the things I would like to note is that in this specific letter that they're doing all of this forensic stuff with, this letter noted that the papers called him a copycat and was pissed.
He was so mad about it.
He was so angry. He said he's the one. I'm the one and only.
He's basically writing them like, no, the real Slim Shady is me, and I'm standing up.
I also have in my notes, they ran tests on the letter and found a thumbprint. Sounds weirder than a fingerprint.
It did.
It
really
strange.
did. A thumbprint.
A thumbprint. Like, the word thumb is just, it's one of those, like, bubbles. Like, try to say thumb angrily. Thumb!
It's just like a giant when they're like, thief.
But that's what it feels like. I don't know. It's wrong. So they run this fingerprint. It sounds weird still. They run it through the database everywhere. And they tell us everywhere. They even run
They're like running
officers.
cops. Yeah, everybody.
And he said at the end of his letter, only the Seven Sisters could stop him.
That gave me chills.
I was like, oof.
Chills.
And then after that, you get a lovely scene of a bus almost crashing into a taxi in New York City. Please tell me you noticed this.
I have. Audie, please tell me you almost saw this collision.
Literally, this bus is... And, we're not from New York. We're in the heart of Georgia, okay? We don't do shit. But this bus is literally getting over and, about to cream this taxi. And I'm just like, please tell me everyone knows. It's slowly panning out of the shot, and it's getting farther away, and you're sitting closer because you're like, did it hit it? Did they hit?
Guys, if you watch the documentary and you see it, go just comment a taxi cab emoji anywhere on our Instagram, and we will follow you back.
Yes. Oh my God, personal page. I'll follow you back.
He kind of dropped off for 2 years, and then sent another letter.
In 1994. But he took responsibility for the stabbing and death of 39-year-old Patricia Fonte in Highland Park.
And she was a Leo.
He also took responsibility for 40-year-old Joseph DeConte. I don't know if I... Probably
That's what I have.
He was shot and killed while he was walking under a highway. They don't specify where.
This man, unfortunately, gets shot in the back again. And again, guys, I keep pointing this out. Always vulnerable positions and vulnerable people. They show us this underpass in the documentary or in the forensic files. Top 10 places that I would never freaking walk through, okay? I saw this, and this is where I just said, nope. It looks like the Ninja Turtles hang out.
They hang out in much cooler places.
It's like red light, too. It's scary and drippy and dark, and it looks like you'd crawl. No, just no. I'm not walking through there.
It probably was a lot to do with, how they filmed it. I'm sure during the day it looks like a normal underpass, but during the video it looks scary, okay, guys?
It was horrible. His next victim is 40-year-old James Weber, who was shot in the same location the Ninja Turtles hang out. And he was a Libra, but he did survive. And that's when we find out that he ran away. Guys, trigger warning.
No, he did not ran. He walked.
He left the scene of the crime laughing.
And walked and disappeared into a cemetery.
Laughing, guys. That is just the top of my list as a nope person.
That's absolutely just, Can you just imagine being shot in the back, you're on the ground, and you just hear...
To hear him laughing and you're in pain. I cannot
That's
imagine.
terrible.
So I have a question too. Was he going in order of the zodiac signs? Again, I'm not a sign person.
No, that's not the order.
No.
At all. No, not
Oh,
at all.
well,
Leo
yeah, we
and
already
Virgo
kind of know that.
are next to each other, but no, that's not the order.
So he just at random, like, just needed 12 of,
Well, because in the order that he went in, if I am correct, Scorpio, Gemini, Taurus. Yeah, no, that's completely out of order. And then the only ones that are next to each other, I believe, are Virgo and Leo.
So that actually brings us to our unfortunate next victim is 40-year-old Diane Ballard, who also survived, but she was...
Taurus?
A Taurus? She was a Taurus, and that was the same sign as a previous existing victim. So that kind of threw that off, too. Like, why would he need two of the same sign?
Yeah.
In his note, he said...
He shot another person in Highland Park, but police couldn't confirm that case either.
And although he bragged that police wouldn't catch him, he did make one little mistake.
Two mistakes. First off, he did put in the letter, he said that there were no grooves on the bullet, which is a very, only the killer would know that detail. That's not public information.
And that blew my mind, too. Why is he telling them that? Unless he, weirdly wants it. To be caught. Exactly.
Why
he
else
needs
are you
this
sending
clout.
letters to the police? It's not that he wants to be caught. He wants the attention.
That's crazy.
And I'm aware. But, yeah.
And how unoriginal. I want the attention, so I'm going to be just like this other dude. If you're going to be a murderer, can you not, get your own thing?
Yeah, your brain is already that messed up. Is it that hard to, be creatively messed up?
With this letter, he made a mistake. He licked the envelope flap and left enough saliva for DNA testing.
This dumbass licked the envelope?
Yes.
And also, can we just talk about that? Now that we're in COVID days, that seems so weird to me. Because now, whenever I go to, lick an envelope, I'm like, this is so wrong. Why are we sending each other spit?
I put a sticker. I'm a sticker person. But anyway, so I also have in my notes, is he just trying to get caught? Because now we have a DNA profile, guys.
Can you do a Goog for me real quick? Because
I absolutely can do a Goog.
I want to know something. When did DNA tests starting? Start.
Oh, that's a good question.
Because you have to remember that this is 1995. So if it started early on, it might have been he didn't know.
So that is actually crazy. So in 1986 was when DNA was first used in criminal investigation by Dr. Jeffrey. And then in 1986, the investigation used genetic fingerprints. So it had only been 10 years where people could do things like that.
Wait, I'm sorry, did you say 86?
86.
Oh, okay, so
he was convicted in 96, so not even 10 years.
So,
that's a good point.
Well, police-wise, then yes, this is a very new thing. And, I mean, but you have to remember, with the crime rates as high as they were, he's really not expecting to get caught. Because I was thinking of this, too, why is he claiming all these victims? Oh, there's so many crimes, they don't know who's whose. In this letter, he drew 9 towers, which they assumed was for 9 victims. And they go to this, I'm not sure who exactly it was, but they're letting one of the decoders talk. And he's going off on this tangent about how decoding works. And you can see that they just cut it. They just
cut him off.
Cut him off so hard. You could tell that they were we're bored. And it's so, please, if you watch this.
It was 9 towers, because there were 9 victims. And I wrote down all the different symbols. And I think I had 23, very close to an alphabet. And then I did something called a frequency count, which is you write down how many times each letter is used, because, for example, E is the most commonly used letter in the alphabet.
So funny. He's just no more.
He really did.
Yeah.
Whoever was editing this was
we're good. So they cut him off. and go to another scene basically saying the code was international flags stacked on top of each other to form these towers.
Right.
And using those flags, they were able to figure out exactly what letter corresponded to each number. It was like a whole, code, obviously, and we're able to break the code. Would you like to read this part, or shall I?
What the letter is? This is the Zodiac speaking. I am in control. Ew. He didn't say ew. I'm saying ew about him, because anyone that says I am in control...
You are the least out of control.
Ew. You are clearly out of control. Okay, whatever. Who mastery, be ready for more, yours truly.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, homeboy has been chilling in New York for 6 years, just sleeping. I'm guessing fine at night. Just sleeping fine at night is what I'm guessing, probably. With literal blood on his hands, sleeping fine. Do you have Captain Joseph Herbert's part?
The only thing that I have about Captain Herbert is Captain Herbert. And the fact that he is drooling so much that he reminded me of the King in Hamilton.
And now, don't change the subject.
Look, I love him. What is his name? Jonathan?
Oceans. While I did not notice him drooling, you cannot help but notice King George drooling. And that is so funny that's what it made you think it was focusing. Are you good, dog?
No.
Alright, so, while Audie was focusing on drool, I was focusing on Captain Joseph Herbert, who worked on the Zodiac Task Force. There's a Zodiac Task Force at this point.
I missed that. That's insane.
He's telling us that he felt good about catching him because of the fingerprints, the type of bullets that he used, and the DNA from the letter. Okay. So now we're at March 1996.
It's been 6 years since the first attack. We start off, a man gets angry at his younger sister for sleeping in her bedroom with her boyfriend.
His sister is in her bedroom with her boyfriend, and the brother doesn't like that he's in there with her and the door is shut, and it keeps escalating.
He keeps pounding on the door, telling him to leave.
And I guess she's like, fuck off. Like, that's what I would be doing with my brother. Mm-hmm. So then he shoots a bullet into the bedroom door. So his sister comes out, just like Audie would if I shot your door. And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's what I'm guessing she said.
Hold. Just, like if I had shot Audie's door.
Well, we're siblings. But like if
if you shot my damn door, you think I'm just gonna waddle on out there while you're holding that gun and be like, why are you shooting at me? No. I ain't coming out to confront you.
I'm gonna be honest, if someone asked me straight up, like, hey, if you shot Audie's door, assuming that, like, I would make sure you're not in the door's way. Like, I would protect you first. But just, okay, stay with me for a minute. Just if someone was like, hey, if you were gonna shoot Audie's door, and she would be safe. And they're like, what would she do? Like, my immediate response would be like, she would pimp slap the hell out of me.
I mean, yeah.
Just backhand, just walk right out, take the gun, and just boom.
What you doing?
So, like, no, I would expect. So anyway, yeah, it's not about us. It's not about our fights, Audie. He shot a bullet into her bedroom door. His sister comes out and she's like, what the hell? And then she turns around, I'm guessing, to go back into her bedroom.
I guess so. Like, she's done bitching to him.
Right. And do you want to tell us what happened?
He shot her in the ass with a shotgun.
He shot her in the ass. With a zip gun. Well, like a zip gun.
No. Oh. They say it was a shotgun.
Oh, see, I missed that part.
It is word for word, shot her in the ass with a shotgun, because I said, of course it would be a shotgun to hit her in the ass.
So, and like, that's not funny. Like, she got shot.
Yeah, she was okay. She lived.
She does live. And here's my question. And I don't know that we touched on this earlier, but the first victim of the bridge also shot in, they say buttocks. I said ass, because they're professionals and I'm a podcast, so, like, know your realm or whatever. So, I don't know that he accidentally shot his first bridge victim in the ass. Like, I don't know if maybe he, like, missed, and it says that he ran away laughing, and, like, the sadistic part of him, like, maybe missed.
That's a good point.
Right. I don't know that we touched on that earlier, but now he knows that man lived. And now he's chosen to shoot his sister in the same way. So part of me is like, did he shoot her like that because he knew that she would live, because he saw someone else live that way? Or he ran away laughing last time, so it was sort of comical, as sick as that is. So, like, these were all questions that I was going through.
He holds the boyfriend hostage. After 3 hours of him holding the boyfriend hostage in the apartment. He surrenders, and they decide that in order for him to give up all of his weapons, that they're going to dangle a construction, 5-gallon bucket from the ceiling. Bucket! From the roof!
Yeah,
and just have him put his weapons in and out the window? And to which I'm like, hold on, how many things went into this? Who got on the roof? Who went and got the bucket? Who went and got the string? Is this just a thing that they have on demand? Who decided that this was the best way to get the weapons from him? I'm not saying that it's a bad idea, but I'm saying what was the plan?
So I'm honestly so happy that you have this question, because I also had so many questions, because we're just given this scene, right? This scene of, I'm guessing it was filmed on an old cell phone. Showed this scene of a bucket, just a construction 5-gallon bucket dangling from a rope.
From heaven.
From just a rope. And when you just see him putting in axes and weapons, and it's horrifying.
It's literally like a thing of wood. Just the most random things that you could possibly think of. And what I think is interesting that I want to know is those all the things that he thought of as a weapon? Or are those the things that he was told to put in there?
If you're listening to a murder podcast or anything, I feel like you have to find the light and the little things, and it's this orange bucket for me. It really is. This orange bucket really got me through, and it's only a 2-second scene. You guys are gonna watch this and be like, that's what they thought was hilarious.
The thing is that is the only from live footage of that case. It's the only live footage we get, so they were like, this is the only one we have to put it in.
The bucket.
The bucket.
But it did. I felt like I was there. He surrenders, and that's when they find out and confirm. His name was Eddie Seda. He was 26 years old. He was a high school dropout with no job, living with his mother and sister. They ask him for a written statement. He does give it to them, but he signs it with this symbol, and it is this simple but chilling symbol, and it means something about God's love. And all of a sudden, Captain is like, boys, we got him.
You put 4 storylines in one. First off, I would like to note that his picture of when he is booked, he looks like he is on the cloud 9
high,
of 420 high.
So high.
So high. I mean, his
blazing
eyes are 2 little red lines.
I did notice that.
He looks so stoned in that picture, and it's so funny. Because maybe it's the humor in me, but I could just imagine, this is taken right after this 3-hour hostage thing, I'm assuming.
Oh, so he's just been in there blazing.
Oh
my god!
They did say that he was very sporadic when he came in, and very
just bipolar, and
he provided a written statement of exactly what happened in the apartment and signed it. When he signed it, that's when the symbol came up, and they asked about the symbol, and he said, "Oh, it's God's love or something." And they were like, "Bullshit, meter just broke."
Yeah, they're like, "We have got him. We've got the guy." And he even says, direct quote,
"As sure as I'm standing here, this is Zodiac Killer."
As sure as I'm standing here, this is the Zodiac Killer. They take his fingerprints. They match. The handwriting concluded that they were written by the same person. They examined 15 zip guns. Ugh. They examined 15 zip guns. No, he made 15.
Yeah, he owned 15, and they had to examine all of those. One thing I would just like to note, maybe I'm just random for noticing this, but there's a picture that they show of him being let out by the police, in handcuffs, and he's holding a journal. And it's not
I saw that too. I didn't know if it was a Bible or something.
No, it was definitely not a Bible. It was definitely a journal. But there's notes sticking out of it. And
I'm stop letting this guy write stuff down.
But it looked like a very personal journal, where I'm just why are they letting him have that? You're walking out in handcuffs. Ugh. I have never seen someone walk out in handcuffs and had something in their hand. What made them say, you know what, fine, you can have it.
That's why I thought it was a Bible or something, that it wasn't his death sentence. Yeah, it was a lot. So then they go into, I have bullet science, ? Look, this was a lot of science that I
thought this was so intriguing, though.
All right, well, this was the fingerprints for me, so I'm going to let you, here's the wheel. Audie, take it.
To make it easy, he thought that he wouldn't get caught because with the making of a zip gun, apparently it's not like a normal barrel where it's really tight around the bullet when it gets shot out, so there's no grooves that get hit on the bullet as it's coming out, and that's why they were saying there's no grooves on the bullets.
Which goes back to his note that he left soon after the homeless man that said no grooves in the bullet or something like that.
Yeah, where he confirmed that as well. But essentially, because of that, there's no way to match a bullet to a gun, or so he thought, because there would be no hitting on the inside of the gun or anything like that, so they can't say it's been fired from that. But what he didn't know was that yes, that is to a T what you see with your eyes, but microscopically there's still small fragments of metal that get stuck in the barrel in the gun.
Right. So the metals rubbing together were microscopically similar. So, I mean, like, that's... They go into it way better in the documentary than we're able to, but that's like, the gist of it.
And in case anyone was wondering, his DNA did also match that envelope that he so stupidly licked.
Detective... How did you say this? Saversis?
So what's funny...
Detective Saversis?
I wrote it, and then it auto-corrected, and I kept it, so we have Detective Savages told Eddie that
mine definitely changed it to Savages, too.
And I was just like, you know what? They know who they are.
All right, Detective Savages. Also, I'm having a hard time saying his name, and I do want to do it justice. But Detective Savores, as I'm pretty sure what it is, he tells him that he gets caught. I have in my notes, bet he loved that.
He didn't want to go to jail for shooting his sister. He wanted to go to jail and take credit for all of these murders that he planned out and wrote the letters for and was creepy as heck about.
Exactly. So I have... Can I say how, like, I feel like this went down? Mm-hmm. So... Detective Savores tells him that he gets caught. And, like, I have in my notes, I bet he loved that. Then he's like, bruh, I've been looking for you for 6 years. You're the Zodiac. And he's like, nah, it's not me. And he's like, yeah, bruh, it's you. And then it's 6 to 7 hours of that. And I'm just picturing them back and forth like...
Wait, 6 to 7?
Yes, that's what they said.
3-hour interrogation.
I wrote 6 to 7. Maybe I'm wrong, but...
Oh, sorry. After 3 hours, he surrendered. No, you're right.
Okay.
6 to 7
So I'm just picturing like 6 to 7 hours of like, bruh, it's not me. And he's like, I know that it's you. And he's like shaking. You see like his neck vein. And so then after 6 to 7 hours, he confesses, but he didn't want to go to jail for just shooting his sister in the ass, just like you said. He wanted credit for years and years of shittery.
Can we talk about the most crazy thing?
What, like all of this has not been insane?
Yeah, but how about on the day of the shooting of his sister in the ass, Orion and the Seven Sisters were in the sky.
Yeah.
But they were covered by clouds and weren't visible.
I heard that. That's crazy.
What?
Is that not insane?
Crazy.
Like you feel like he's like some kind of werewolf that like when the stars align, he's like
weird.
just like,
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So literally there's so much shit, there's so much evidence, there's so much forensic that they label it Forensic Week, which I love. It's like Shark Week, but for true crime. So after their Forensic Week, he's convicted and sentenced to 232 years in prison. They said it was luck. They said it was luck that he knew the birthdays. So they're like now like looking into like how he knew or whatever. And I don't know where you're at, Audie. I'm at the personal opinion that he was stalking these people. And
Definitely.
like somewhat, you know.
But I'm still thinking like it couldn't have been that hard to obtain someone's birthday. You know, I mean, you could have gone to where they worked. You could have gone to...
No, I mean, there's a million ways.
Yeah, there's so many different ways.
I was so fascinated by this case, honestly. And this was one that I hadn't really heard any coverage of. And Audie and I kind of had to, I mean, not really dig because it was on Netflix, but like... It was harder to find coverage of this. Mm-hmm. So that kind of concludes the Forensic Files episode. And then you can go to Oxygen's YouTube video, which, can I just say, filmed beautifully. It was so... I have cinematic AF, girl.
Yeah,
like
it really just... It was really cool watching something so cinematically beautiful after hearing the story because you're already in that headspace.
Right.
Where you've already had these places and then you get to see them. Mm-hmm. So it just made it a lot cooler rather than just watching it straight off the bat, not knowing the case.
Right, because you know everything that happened in the places they're filming. Yeah, that's a good point.
So before they even mention it, you see the policeman, like, picking up the note off the front step of the first man who was murdered, and you already know what's happening before they explain it.
So now we're going to jump to, like I said, this Oxygen YouTube video. It's only an 11-minute video. Dr. Joni Johnson is telling us how, you know, he didn't look at signs the way that most people do, and he wasn't just, like, waking up and getting his daily horoscope, you know, like... He was almost random in his selection on ways he needed to feel special or turn his needs and desires into some kind of complex kind of framework that he described to copy, he needed to copy the Zodiac to feel special. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be seen as someone like God or a higher guidance, that he's on a mission to be better than everybody else is basically what she's trying to tell us as the mental standpoint of Seda. I'm calling him Seda because I just feel like that makes him the guy from Flash, like this ultra villain that's just like murderous and like on a rampage. Wow. So I'm okay with it.
Okay.
So Eddie Seda entered his first... Oh, we need to take a seat. Okay.
Oh, take 12.
Take 12 seats.
Eddie gets into a relationship while he's in Attica, which is like, if you don't know, basically the biggest prison in the world.
We just get on-screen text, which I'm a fan of.
But also, you just know that they were like, no one's going to say this correctly. Like, we just
That's
have
fair.
to...
So,
have to write it.
Eddie Seda entered his first relationship while in Attica on a all-male correctional facility.
Eddie had never had a girlfriend outside of prison.
You don't say. You're telling me that this charmer wasn't just like getting girls left. Like, you're telling me that he can't woo a lady?
You're telling me he didn't go up to a bar and ask what her zodiac sign was?
Oh. And there we go. And that is called a full circle joke.
Can we talk about that? I also just realized timeline-wise, his first killing, he was 20.
How do you get that fucked up?
Or first shooting, should I say, sorry. First crime.
That's better.
20 years old.
That's
insane.
You know what I was doing when I was 20?
Teenager. I'm doing this. Like, I'm sitting on my ass talking to my sister in a room alone.
Okay, so he found romance in Attica. He met his girlfriend. Her name is Cynthia China Blast. Best name ever.
It's
Best name ever.
Freaking amazing.
Cynthia China Blast. Even if you just like China Blast. Like, it has so many levels, so many layers and meanings.
Like, you could just do so much with that.
How do you not fall in love with Cynthia China Blast? I get it.
Yeah.
China made it clear she liked him. And then they had a mini prison wedding. This made Eddie feel more human and able to open up. I wish that this is what I need footage
of. What does the wedding
of.
look like in Attica?
This is what I have questions about. Like, is it a white jumpsuit? Because you're not pure.
Or is it an orange? Honey, are any of us nowadays?
But like,
or is it like orange and crafty? Or is it just like nothing and you just sign the document? No, I feel like it was like Orange and the New Black.
Like, did you have cake that day? Like,
no, they don't go that. They don't care that much. They probably went to commissary. Like grabbed some packs of Cheetos and like made their day.
Regardless, we get some more on-screen text, and it says, Eddie Seda's decision to become a serial killer stems from his decision to become a serial killer stems from his idea that he is unfit for any other career path.
I'm sorry, can you speak that up for the people in the back that didn't hear the audacity in the room?
He says that he has no other career path other than to be forced to be a serial killer. My note says, how about a baker? Or a woodchuck? Oh, wait, maybe not an axe. Maybe something that doesn't have an axe. But, like, maybe a baker. The lady telling us this, like, our narrator, cannot keep a straight face.
She is laughing
She
so
is
hard.
losing it.
And you know that the director is just like, keep going.
Keep going.
Like,
keep it rolling.
Rolling it, honey.
Yep.
Keep going.
We're going to go to lunch. We're going to leave you here. You just keep it going.
Right on. We'll look through it later. See you in 20 Janice.
That killed me.
Or Joan, whatever her name was.
All right, so then we have his infatuation with the 1960s San Francisco Zodiac killer inspired him to mimic these crimes in an attempt to fool authorities that he was in fact the original Zodiac killer. He signed up for the army. This is when we find out that he signed up for the army, but he didn't pass the psychological test. This is me shocked.
But that's the case, you guys.
I mean,
that's all the information.
He's still
in prison. I hope him and Cynthia China Blast. I'm very happy to get that.
Yeah, so those are the two that we found. I hope you guys are very forgiving of our first podcast. At this point, guys, we do not have a Facebook or anything like that. We don't even have a website yet. We are just now starting out. We do, however, have an Instagram that you can find us at, and it is at Serial Sistas with 3 A's. SerialSistaas. Eventually, we will probably tell you guys why we say Sistaaas the way that we do. And
that's a different story.
Yeah, we've done it like our whole life. But Audie, where can they find you?
I am Audie_Dennis on Instagram and Awkward Audie on TikTok.
And I am Devin Dennis, Devin with an I. Devin Dennis XOXO on everything. Really, yeah, I just kind of kept it universal. So
yeah, I didn't. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, you can be the complicated one. It's fine.
I mean, that's always us.
It's fine. So we're planning to do these every single week. Hopefully we will get some more equipment and get better at this, but thank you for sticking around for our first one.
Oh, sorry. If you guys have any suggestions for cases that you want covered, I mean, we're down to do like episodes, a long series, documentaries.
We're kind of open to anything right now.
Even if cases don't have audio, we can always do those. We just have to make it more funny. You'll have to deal with
You're saying we have to work harder.
Yeah. Which is like, just the funnest.
Please tell your friends if you liked this. That literally helps us so much, and we are ad-free because we're nobodies, and we don't know that anyone will listen to this. So, totally ad-free because no one wants to pay us to do anything yet. So, we will be back here next week, and every week with a new episode and a new crime to talk about. Yeah. All right, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Until we have a more official outro, guys.
Serial Sistaaas!
Serial Sistaaas! Oh, then we're gonna be those girls that scream all the time.
We already are.
It's a problem. Scooby-Dooby. Just choked on my beer. It was the genie slap. I'm really saying you, wasn't it?
The genie slap. Is that the universal term for this now?
It must be our handshake.
No, we have a handshake that we have had since we were like 4 and 8 years old.
And we're not changing it. It took me forever to memorize.
I still remember it.
If we had closed captions, it would say awkward slapping. Go back in time with me. Nope.
Doggy break.
Dog break. That was a hard left.
But
an appropriate left.
Isn't that what I'm here for? Is the hard left?
I'm trying my best here. I'm trying, guys. It's my first day.